Hi guys, hope you're well. Cast your minds back to 2014 and that is when Tudor relaunched in the UK. If you can remember that far back, you'll remember that you could only buy Tudors in Rolex ADs officially at the start, and that made the allure very interesting indeed. In 2014 they launched with the Black Bay, the one and only, the original Tudor Black Bay. Now in recent years the Tudor Black Bay 58 has taken all the glory. Some would argue better proportions, better sizings, but I want to take a close look at the BlackBay 41, and there is rumours that it will be discontinued. Thanks for watching if it's your first time. If you've been watching before, you know that the wife got me the Tudor Black Bay Red on Christmas Day as a surprise. It's a watch that I have loved from afar, I have previously owned, and ultimately I flipped it far too soon because of a few issues that if you're into watches, you kind of know the issues about the Black Bay 41, the top heaviness, the rivets, the slab-sidedness of the 41. But the good thing is this review is about me wearing this for 2 weeks full stop. I have not taken it off. I may have taken it off for the shower, I may have taken it off for bed, I may have tried other watches on to take watch shots for Instagram, but 100% I have worn this watch every single day, at least 20 hours a day, and I want to give you a full frank review of what I actually think of the watch. So let's start with the size of the watch. It's a 41mm, it's 22mm lugs, it's a thick watch, about 14mm, maybe a little bit more. So it's literally the biggest version of a 41mm watch you can get. Now 41mm for most guys, for reference throughout this video, my wrist is 6.75 inches. And most guys are in and around that size, maybe a bit smaller, maybe a bit bigger. But even someone 6.5, 6 inches, they could wear a Black Bay 41. But you've got to get over that initial hurdle of how tricky and heavy it is initially. Now, trying a watch on in the shop, going to Goldsmiths, Ernest Jones, somewhere like that in the UK, you could try this on and just instantly dismiss it. I can see why. The day I put it on Christmas Eve, I was like, shit, that is really big and heavy. And my body just wasn't used to it. But you've got to persevere with a watch, and that's exactly what I've done over the last 2 weeks. The top heaviness is probably the biggest contender for worrying most people out there. And it worried me, and it does take a little bit of getting used to. I'm not going to say it's the most comfy watch in the world. Something a bit slimmer, maybe tapered into a 20mm lugs would be ideal. But ultimately that topping heaviness, once you've worn it for a few days, genuinely goes away and you forget about it. The fake rivets for me are, they were a big no-no for a long time. They're just part of the watch. They don't have any meaning. They don't do anything. They look like they should do something, but they don't. And ultimately that's why they're fake rivets. But once you wear the watch, they are very, very hard to notice. You have to go looking for them to get offended by them. So yes, they're on there, but it's not the biggest ball ache that I thought it was for this watch. When you're looking at it on your wrist, the thing that you can see the most is obviously you've got the 3 links, that's what it is, a 3-link watch. But because of these rivets, these side bits stick out a little bit more. And listen, if you want to go looking for problems, you will find them with any watch ever. I have flipped and switched and changed a million watches in the last 5 or 6 years because I find faults with them. I almost go looking for them to get that next hit, unfortunately for me. No micro adjustment. Now, for me, I went years thinking a watch is a big no-no without micro adjustment, and it has got micro adjustment, but it's one where you've got to put the pin in the traditional style where you've got to faff around to get it right. There's no on-the-go adjustment, and it's painful. But if you take it in comparison with the Omega Seamaster clasp, that clasp is just way too big. It takes up way too much space and it makes the bracelet look really short. So actually, if you can get a good fit with a clasp like the Tudor Black Bay 41, I think ultimately that's a better fit. And I have worn this like this. I've got it on notch number 3 and it's been comfy. And tell a lie, 2 weeks in, genuinely, last night I think it was, a little bit cold in the house. My wrist may have shrunk a little bit. I might have shred a little bit of Christmas chunk from all the drinking and eating I'd done. And I found that I had the dreaded jangle and I was like, oh, I can't cope. So it was jangling for a bit on my wrist. And what I did, I just swapped it to a leather strap because this watch, as you'll see later in the video, is an absolute strap monster. Again, the aluminium bezel. Now, that red, that rich, warm red, I don't know if they could recreate it in a ceramic version, but the aluminium put me off because I thought it wouldn't stand the test of time. It would get scratched easily, it'd get buffed up. But it's just such a rich, warm, glorious look to the watch. And actually, there's not a mark on it after 2 weeks. The clasp has got marks on it. There's other marks because I've worn it. I haven't babied it at all. But yeah, the aluminium, I would say it's a bit of a negative. But once you learn to live with a watch, the looks of the watch far outweigh the petty concerns, really, what I'm talking about. Micro adjustment, aluminium bezel, no, it's just the small things that once you've worn the watch for a prolonged period, you do get over it. Now, the BlackBay 58 has been the most popular watch for the last few years. They've got the blue version, they've got the bronze version, they've got the original black version. And they counteract everything that's wrong with a 41. So it's a smaller size at 39, and ultimately it counteracts that thickness. Now, there is no denying that this is a chunky monkey coming in at 14.8 mil thick, nearly 15 mil. Now that is thick. And to add to that, it's a slab-sided watch because it's all polished steel down the side of the case. So it's got presence, it's got character, it's got real good looks, but it does enhance the watch to maybe perhaps make it look a little bit more than it is. To make you feel a little bit better about that 15 mil thickness, at least 2 mil of that is the domed sapphire crystal. It's raised above the bezel, and that's at least a couple of mil there. So we're down to 13. And then the case back protrudes out of the back. So you could argue that take them down a shed or two, and you may be only looking at a 12 mil watch. Probably wears like a 12 mil watch, but it's the slab-sidedness that is the biggest issue. So the lugs are 22 mil, which is it's bigger than most watches, let's be fair, and it gives the watch an overall larger size. Now, one of the good things about this watch, it's got a rich, warm vibe. You can't always tell in pictures, but if you got it in hand, it just looks so rich, warm and inviting. The cream markers, the gold bronzy gilt, the print is excellent, the warm red bezel, it's just got such character. The case back is, especially for me getting this as a present, the case back is clear, so I could get a little message in there from the wife, get it engraved and even enhance that special feeling that I've got with this watch. The bezel action is to die for. Unquestionable, it doesn't budge backwards anywhere which way. It's a very, very smooth, satisfying click. The loom is out of this world. Gorgeous, gorgeous loom. Nothing to hide, nothing to go away. It's just super high quality loom, fantastic. The accuracy on this watch has been out of this world. For the first week, I set it, I wore it, I forgot about it, and it was 3 seconds fast after a week. So that is undeniable quality. The looks, as we've touched on already, it's a fantastically good looking watch. Granted, subject to people's opinions, but for me, it's the best looking BlackBay 41 by a mile. The markers are rich, warm, creamy. They're almost good enough to eat. You could almost get drawn in by them just looking at them. You could spend more time than you should looking at markers, I'll be honest. The printing is just exquisite. It's crisp. The dial is just a perfect tone of dark black. It's absolutely gorgeous. The crown has got a little hint of red on there to add to the bezel, and it's printed with the rose from the Tudor original style. So it's absolutely fantastic. As you can see from these images, it is an absolute strap monster. This grey suede is from D-Lugs, and it's my favourite option actually on this. And this one is the Kolarab, which I've actually got the Tudor from an old Pelagos that I had. I sold that, kept the buckle from a spare rubber strap that you get on there, and it just looks fantastic on this Kolarab. Sorry if you bought my Pelagos, by the way. So this watch is £3,370. It's gone up about £300 since Christmas, so the wife got lucky buying this. Now, to take that into perspective, back in 2014, this watch was about £2,400. So it's gone up £1,000 in the last few years, which is a hell of a lot. 200 metre water resistance there, more than you will ever need. And under that big, thick slab-sidedness, it's got the MT5602. That's a COSC certified 70 hours, which is absolutely exquisite. Brilliant movement, brilliant accuracy. The case, as we've already mentioned, it's a BlackBay 41. Now, the lug-to-lug is a very, very manageable size at 49.6. 14.8 thickness. Some people just will not get over that fact, and I get it. But if you're going to wear this watch all day, every day, if you're thinking of buying it and keeping it, that is not the end of the world, I promise you. 22 2mm lugs, and it tapers down to 18mm. So guys, I think I've covered just about everything that I can think of on this watch. Genuinely, to put it in perspective, I've got 2 Rolex, 2 Omega in my collection, but this has taken pride of place since Christmas Day. We're now 2 weeks later into January, but I think I'm going to ride out the rest of January wearing it. And a little birdie tells me that the BlackBay 41 is soon to be discontinued. He's got in touch with an AD that he knows personally, and that AD has said they're not allowed to order anymore. I think the 32 and the 36 are also going by the wayside. Now, what does that mean? I find it very hard to believe that the BlackBay 41 will no longer be in existence. But if they stop selling them, stop ordering them, they'll clear the way, singing all dancing, micro adjustment, no fake rivets, maybe a 40mm, not a 41, thin it down and narrow, and for me, throw a ceramic bezel on there and you have got the perfect watch, and they would eat Rolex up all day. Will they do that? Who knows? Right guys, I'll see you in the next one.